folks. Welcome to Coffee with the Candidates, coming from the Waffle Hut. We have been graced with the ability to film this here, and I want to thank the management at the Waffle Hut for allowing us to do this today. We've been here all day, and we've done a lot of interviews, and quite frankly, it's an amazing day because we have so many people running, and we've managed to fit them all into one day, which is really kind of cool. But this is my last interview of the day, and today we're going to speak with, is it Judge Cole Chase?
No, just Cole Chase.
Just Cole Chase, okay.
Running for judge, though.
Okay, Cole Chase is going to be here today, and he's running for judge. And we're going to talk to him about what his priorities are and what he wants to do with the judgeship that if he wins. So, without further ado, please let me introduce you to Cole Chase.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. So tell me, what is it that prompted you to run for being a judge? What got you motivated to do that?
I've been practicing in Klamath County for about 20 years now. I started at the DA's office back in 2004, and been in the DA's office for about 16 of those 20 years.
Okay.
About 4 years out of the office in private practice. During that time, I valued my public service, the ability to help the community, and I want to continue that as a judge. And I've had some frustrations with how our system is working. I don't think that the priorities of Salem are represented. I don't think the priorities of Klamath County are represented by the policies that we're getting from Salem. And I think that as a judge, you're going to have an opportunity to push back on some of those and really reflect the goals of our community more.
Well, let's get into that, okay? Because there's a myriad of issues that are coming out of Salem right now,
Yep.
and obviously they don't really think about us down here in little old Klamath Falls, do they?
They don't value our opinion like they should.
No, they certainly don't. So what do you envision you'll be able to do to better affect the relations with Salem?
So when you're talking to a judicial candidate, it's a little different than when you're talking to a candidate for an office that is a legislative or an executive.
Sure.
We're talking about judicial candidates. So I can't sit here and say, hey, I'm going to make these changes. I'm going to affect changes in policy, because that's not what judges do.
Sure.
What I'm going to do is I can tell you that if I'm elected as your judge, that my decisions are the goals and priorities of Klamath County's voters are going to be reflected in the judgment that judges have when they're applying the law to the facts.
Okay.
And there's just, if you think about a bigger picture way to think about it is, think about the importance of Supreme Court justices.
Sure.
The reason that they are so important is because they go in there with perspective, and they review existing law, and they review the facts, and they apply their own personal perspective, which is often shaped by the communities. They apply those to those facts in the law, and that's how they come up with their opinions. And it's the same thing a local judge can do, is to use the priorities that are shaped by its own community to make its decisions.
Now, would that involve, criminality? Would that involve family law? Would that involve,
So obviously, most of my experience is in criminal law. I have done a variety of different law in private practice. I did family law, I did trust and estates and wills, I did some individual tort stuff. A variety of things, but my experience really is in criminal law. I've been doing it for 16 years. I have more experience as a criminal attorney than any other candidate, and public safety is my priority. If it's important to you as a voter, then I'm your candidate. I'm the person you should be voting for, because the other two people that are currently running are defense attorneys. Well, one is now a judge. She just recently got appointed by Governor Kotek. And so if community safety is important to you, I'm your candidate, because I'm going to hold people accountable. I've been doing that my entire career. If you look back and you look at the cases that I've handled some of the most serious cases in our county. And I've sent people to prison for a long time for the harms they've caused. And I plan on continuing that as a judge.
Uh-huh. So tell me, I mean, is this one of the things? I spoke with Sarah, Judge Doherty this morning.
Yep.
And she was talking about the fact that she sees frequent flyers. She sees these guys that get into prison, they're out of prison, they're coming back 3 days in a row, they get arrested and they get back in prison. And it's just forever conveyor belt of turning people over in this community here.
Yep.
How can you, as a judge, affect the frequent flyers, so to speak, of the county?
So there are 6 goals to the criminal justice system. you have your general and your specific deterrent, which means that you, for a general deterrent, you create a punishment that is such that it makes your ordinary person less likely to commit a crime. So if you think about, you don't speed as often as you might because you don't want to get those tickets.
Sure.
A specific deterrent is when you craft the punishment so that that individual who has committed a bad act is less likely to do so in the future. And so we actually learn stuff. We learn through their jail calls, through their communications with our office during plea negotiations, the things that individual defendants don't like. Some of them don't like being on probation. Some of them don't like being in jail. Some of them don't like being in prison. It differs. Some of them are very comfortable in prison because they spent a long time there. And so that's a less effective punishment. But it's still incapacitation, which is another goal. So I said general and specific deterrent. You've got incapacitation, which means you lock them up so that they can't commit new crimes, they can't continue to harm the community. Then you've got restitution, rehabilitation, and I'm missing one, restitution, rehabilitation, and I'll get it in a minute. And so restitution is an effort to make the victims whole. Rehabilitation is an effort to provide an individual skill so that they're less likely to reoffend in the future. A lot of these goals have failed. Frankly, rehabilitation is not as effective as we have thought it could be in the past. Incapacitation continues to work. And there's a lot of criticism of mass incarceration, but when people continue to hurt a community over and over again, sometimes that's the only option we have.
Well, then you get to the question of the jails, which is we don't have enough space in our jail, and we need to make more space. We need to figure out how to keep people in jail, because that's a perennial issue here, is these guys get out and they commit more crimes. How can we affect that?
So there's two things. There's a jail and a prison. Jails are where an individual will spend up to a sentence of just less than 1 year, 364 days. So if your sentence is less than 1 year, you'll serve that in a jail. Individuals who are serving probation violations will also serve that in a county jail. And also people that are being held, awaiting the resolution of their case, are held in jails. So one is the punishment. If you've been convicted of an offense where the punishment is less than 1 year, you're going to sit in the jail and take up that bed space. So let's say a person who has, at one point their license was suspended and they continue to drive suspended over and over and over again. They're not going to stop doing that until you make it so unpleasant for them that they have to make a decision. And a lot of times that is a long period of sitting in a jail. Right now we can't do that because our jail's full. So a person with, no exaggeration, 5 driving while suspended in a 1 year period, regardless of the judge's orders that you're going to do 30 days on this one, 60 days on this one, 90 days on this one, continuing on, stacking them, that person, because of our jail capacity, might serve 5 days, might serve 10 days.
Yeah.
And that's a limitation that our jail currently faces for staffing reasons. I know that our commissioners and I know that the sheriff's office is continually hiring, trying to employ people. The fact is they're constantly hiring. They just cannot get enough people in those positions right now. Right now our commissioners have committed to funding the jail. So the sheriff's office and the jail have the money if they can get the people, but they've got to get people that qualify in the background, that can complete the programs, and then that will stay, because there are parts about that job that are dangerous and unpleasant.
That's what I was talking with Kelly Minty about, is that, the fact of the matter is they can have 30 people apply for a job, they only get one person that can pass all the background checks.
Yep.
So it's perennially a problem to keep people up on the staff there, and it's a horrible situation to be in.
Yeah, our sheriff's office is hiring right now. If you're looking for a scale,
if you think you need a job, go see the sheriff's office.
it's not the worst job in the world. And there's there are a lot of good people up there. We have really our command staff up there, really solid people. And a lot of our career jailers that have been there for a long time are happy with their work. They know the job well, and you can do it safely and have a good life doing that. So if people are interested, they should absolutely be seeking those positions because the county's hiring. I talked about, first thing is incapacitation for those misdemeanor offenders where the punishment is less than 1 year. What we want to do is we want to have a facility where we can make it unpleasant for them. We can say, this is what your consequence is for not doing that. A lot of times that's the jail. A lot of people who, if their only crimes are driving while under the influence and driving while suspended, they typically go together. They really don't like being in jail with people who are more comfortable committing worse acts.
Yeah.
And so that specific deterrent is effective. But we have to have that tool available. So the second thing is, I talked about probation violations. A lot of those probation and PPS, PPS is post-prison supervision, so an individual who has a felony conviction and has completed a term, so they actually have a felony conviction, they're on felony supervision. PPS is what we call parole, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have gone to prison to be on post-prison supervision, but it works similarly to probation. You have a probation officer, and that person has the ability to punish you for bad behavior. And those sanctions are done at the jail. We need bed space for that. Because again, those are effective. They serve the role of incapacitation, and they also can be an effective general and specific deterrent. So those are we talked about those two. And then so people that are serving less than 1 year, people that are serving parole or probation violations. And then the third one is people that are awaiting resolution of their cases. And this is one of the ones that's most important for community safety. Right now, we are at the point where I believe our female bed space is completely full. Hypothetically speaking, an individual female offender with 6 or 10 felony drug convictions, half a dozen convictions for theft, were to commit a new crime, if that were not a violent felony, that individual would get booked and released immediately because there's no place to put that person. So it's a balance from the perspective of the bench where you want to make orders that have something, that have some substance to them. You don't want to sit on the bench and say, I'm ordering you to the following punishment, and that individual that's receiving that punishment knows that there's no way that our system is going to be able to enforce that punishment.
Yeah.
And that's something we run into right now. That's a challenge. The challenge is something that's a partnership between our commissioners. I mean, our commissioners are committed to funding public safety. They have been. They've been very vocal about it. They support the office. I work in the DA's office right now. They support our office very well right now, and they're supporting the sheriff's office as well. But absent people qualified for those positions, there's not a lot we can do.
Is it all just a matter of people to fill those positions? Because I see, I used to get the police reports or the jail reports, and I publish them on my website, and there was about 100 people every day being locked up. At Christmas it was a little light, but I mean,
Yeah.
we had on average 100 people. Is there only 100 spaces in that prison?
I'm sorry, I don't have the number off the top of my head. First off, it's a jail.
Okay.
The terms are important.
In the jail, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Especially because I'm a word nerd. So the difference between a jail and a prison. So a prison is where you go if you're serving a year or more of a sentence. And so in our jail, last thing, if I have it, I did this recently. I think it's 143 with 3 pods. I think it's 143 bed space. Might be 173. But it's not a ton. It's not a ton when, like Sarah said, we're talking about there are easily 60 people that are repeat offenders that right now, as I'm sitting here, have 5 or more open cases in our county. That aren't sitting in jail because the nature of their cases are such that they don't qualify for lodging. And that's part of the issue with Salem, is Senate Bill 48 restricts who we can house. So let's say our jail were completely empty right now, fully staffed, and we could do, let's say for the sake of this, 173 beds. And an individual, let's say it's that same person I talked about, that woman that has 6 felony drug convictions, 6 felony theft convictions, and she decides that she's going to kick down the door one of these less than fully occupied buildings on Main Street. That's a business. It's not a dwelling, so that would be burglary in the second degree when she goes in there. Under Senate Bill 48, she is a tier 2 for consideration, which means that she would appear before a judge, and then the judge would set release conditions. The jail could not keep her. Now, if instead that same person goes into Bi-Mart and steals $1,000 in property, loads up a shopping cart, pushes it out. It happens 40 times a year that we see this. Loads up that shopping cart, despite her extensive criminal history and the fact that it's a felony theft, gets booked and released at the jail. Okay. Senate Bill 48 says that she gets her fingerprints and then she gets sent on her way. And that's where the priorities of Klamath differ from the priorities of Salem, is that the people that I talk to say that's not okay.
Is it a matter of they need to build a bigger jail?
No, remember, in my hypothetical, that empty jail with that Salem policy, with that Senate Bill 48,
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's an empty jail, fully staffed, under those circumstances,
They
that
just
repeat
get sent
offender
out.
gets sent right out. Yep.
Why is Oregon so lax on thievery and robbery and stuff like that? Why
It's a very liberal state. It's a very liberal state, and that means that there have been big initiatives to, well, decriminalize drugs was a failed effort.
Yeah.
We saw that. We've seen it over and over again. So that failed. What that did is that increased the rate in which we had theft and serious overdoses and all of the ancillary harms that comes from substance abuse, which is a lot of times domestic violence and other violent crimes. Plus it means you can't leave your generator sitting out, or you can't leave your bike unlocked.
We've had people steal stuff out of our mailbox. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just because if you're a liberal, in general, you don't want to punish people for the harms they've caused. And accountability is less important.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going to sound like some reactionary conservative prosecutor here, but the truth is our community doesn't think that sort of behavior is okay. And they do in Salem. In Portland, they don't mind if you are using your meth on the street. And they don't think that a person who steals over and over again should go to prison for a long period of time. Now, fortunately, because of some changes in the law, I think it was about 14 years ago, Measure 73 passed, and that was the Repeat Property Crime Offender Act, and that actually put in mandatory minimum sentences, much like Measure 11 was a reaction to judges not sentencing appropriately for violent felonies. These came from Senator Mannix. I think at the time he was just a representative at the time, but he is an expert at passing ballot initiatives that represent the overall concerns that voters have about public safety. Mm-hmm. So we had Measure 11, which passed more than 20 years ago. I think almost 24 years ago now we've had Measure 11. And that was a reaction to liberal judges that did not sentence violent offenders appropriately. And so what it did is it took a certain class of violent felonies, your most serious, for murder, rape, child sex abuse, physical abuse, kidnapping, these charges that are violent and have this horrible, horrible impact on victims in the community, and said that if you are charged and convicted of these certain crimes, there are consequences, and they are mandatory minimum sentences. So that was Measure 11. Then about 10 years after that, Measure 73 passed, and that was a similar response to light offenses for repeat property crime offenders. So now if you commit certain crimes, predicate crimes, you have convictions ahead of time, you go into it and commit these new crimes again, you're gonna face a mandatory minimum sentence as well. And those are more severe than what would fall under the Oregon sentencing guidelines.
Uh-huh. But then you also have that whole aspect of drug and alcohol abuse. I mean, a lot of these guys that are repeat offenders are also abusers of drugs, they're also abusers of alcohol, and they don't live necessarily a giant clean life, you know, so they have trouble.
Yeah, so Salem's reaction to that is to put money into treatment courts. And one of the most frustrating things for me as a prosecutor is we go to treatment court and we see the same people over and over again, and they show up and they are rewarded just for making it to their court appearances. When I say rewarded, they get to spin a wheel. They get to leave with a prize that day just for making it. If they've made progress in
They
their
just
stuff.
show up to court, they get sent home.
Yep. Another frustrating thing is that there's this mantra that relapse is part of recovery. I don't know, I swear.
I can hear that. It's fine.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
If you have committed a criminal act and then you re-offend, you are a meth user, you're convicted for a drug offense or an offense that has drug as an element to it. As a result of your addiction, you beat up your loved one. And as a consequence of that, you are in a treatment court program. You should be held accountable when you screw up. You shouldn't be forgiven, and that's not happening right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So then, we should assume if you get to be elected judge in this area, then it's going to be a cleaner street, yes? We're going to hope for it.
I like to think so. I mean, my real concern is that I'm I'm a valuable component in our DA's office right now. And when I talk to my cops, they say, well, what are we gonna do without you? And that's a real concern for me, and I have to just say, I think I can do more from the bench than as a DA, as a deputy DA, because I work for the DA.
Okay. Well then, sir, I wish you luck in your race, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down and make a bunch of clips out of it, make you famous, best I can.
All right, thank you.
But thank you for being here today, and thank you for talking to me, because you've illuminated me, and I'm sure you're illuminating a lot of my viewers as well.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for watching. This has been Coffee with the Candidates, and these are the conversations we have to have, folks, in all their glory and all their dirty words and everything like that. But the truth of the matter is that we have to have these tough conversations. We have to understand these things. We have to know about these things, and if we do know about these things, we can then better run our community, and we can be a better place to live.
I came up with the third R. Retribution. Restitution, rehabilitation, and retribution.
There you go. Well, thank you for watching, and we will be back next time, which probably won't be till September, because we're going to be covering the Regina Jackson and the Daniel Beard race for county clerk, and that's going to happen in September, so we've got some time. But we'll be back next time, and thank you for watching. So God bless. We'll see you next time.